functionality, working on the blockchain explorer, those type of things. And I'll go into each of those in terms of the status. And then on the cloud wallet side, we said that in Q2 we wanted to improve the interconnectivity between our blockchain protocol through cloud wallet. We wanted to improve the account ownership ability by the users, and we also wanted to improve an ability for dApps that are integrating with Cloud Wallet to be able to determine whether the account, the user account is possibly a bot or not. So those are kind of these big goals, and then there are also improvements on the viral marketplace, as well as any sort of tooling for the community that's actually building. So those were just kind of these high level goals. When it comes to what actually ended up launching, I'm super happy with what our team delivered. In fact, Q2 was kind of an interesting quarter because internally on the engineering side, we decided that we are going to set up a whole bunch of stretch goals and push the team a little bit, so to kind of see what is kind of like this max throughput that we can achieve by our engineers without decreasing the quality of the delivery. And I think Q2, and that's just kind of fun fact, what we've seen on the engineering side was that we pushed the envelope a little bit too much, I think, because I know we had some retrospectives lately about some people burning out and maybe the quality not being there. So in Q3 now we're gonna dial back those stretch goals a little bit to make sure that we work more at the sustainable pace, right? Because we want to make sure that we deliver high quality with good velocity without necessarily burning out people. But when it comes to actually what ended up going live is that I think the whole community knows that the IBC went live, so that is now supported, and we're actually interconnected with EOS, Telos, and UX Network, which is I know actively used by our community, and I know there are tools out there like Alcor that are actually using that function. There's been a whole bunch of enhancements to the Wax Blockchain Explorer. So that tool is continuously being iterated on, and we're adding functionality, listening to the community, making sure that we take their feedback, and we're adding new functions to that. So hopefully over time, this tool is going to become much better. And then we actively are working on blockchain, Wax blockchain tokenomics upgrade and the Antelope 4.0 upgrade. So it's going to be essentially lumped together. What we already released as part of the tokenomics update is the implementation of what I call like a USD pegging algorithm. So as you guys know, we are in the middle of crypto winter, and operating Wax protocol nodes and all the different APIs and tools is not something easy, and it obviously costs money in terms of hardware, but also you gotta pay the staff. So we wanted to make sure that the normal block producer rewards and standby producer rewards that are on distributed on the protocol level, they were essentially not enough, right? They were not enough for the block producers and the standby guilds to actually be able to sustain themselves month to month. So what we ended up doing is we worked with OIG and we implemented this USD pegging algorithm, which scales the payout based on the exchange rate of the WaxP token. So it's a good mechanism that in lean times makes sure that we pay out a little bit more. So these people who are working hard at keeping the protocol running are able to cover their bills, and then this scaling algorithm also works in a way so in the fat times, we are not paying out some ridiculous amount of money. So it works both ways. So that has been put in place already, and now the team is actually going to implement this more on the protocol level, so that it's part of the new tokenomics. We also, we continue working with ENF on a whole bunch of different initiatives. So quick update, the instant finality that we talked about, meaning on the blockchain protocol level, we're going to essentially achieve full finality within a couple of seconds, right? So right now, just a reminder, full finality takes about 2.5 minutes. So we're going to go about a couple of seconds, full finality. It's going to be part of the Antelope 5.0 release, which will go live on Wax in Q1 of 2024. And then probably the biggest, 300-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to the protocol fixes really is the RAM updates, because RAM is the issue that caused us to really be careful about how quickly we grow in terms of number of accounts, and we have to implement the paywall on the cloud wallet, and there's a significant amount of friction in the ecosystem that I know is of everyone's concern. So RAM fixes are very high up on the priority, and ENF and Wax, we're working together to address these issues. I know that there are some breakthroughs being made. There are going to be the recommendations made in the next couple of months in terms of what changes on the protocol level can be done. And once those recommendations are done, then I know that our team internally, we already offered that we are going to start pushing ahead, and we're going to start implementing them as soon as possible. Because ultimately, we want to make sure that the issue of RAM and account growth is addressed, and we can then remove the paywall and allow people to sign up for ultimately as cheaply as possible. So that's kind of on the blockchain side. I do want to mention that we did have, and we do have on our roadmap, launch of EVM. And I know that EOS and ENF launched that version of EVM already. I worked with the team on that particular item, and we kind of put a pin on that for now, so that project is paused. We can have a discussion with the community about that. I personally don't feel like the complexity of running the EVM actually ultimately results in a better adoption from the EVM chains. There's still a massive amount of friction with that tool. It's almost like you're running a separate network within the network, and you have to have separate block producers, and there's a complexity when it comes to bridging, and when I look at the EOS ecosystem as an example of adoption, or even Telos, right? Telos has had EVM for years now. I don't necessarily see a massive stampede of projects from EVM chains moving over. So this is something that we're going to keep an eye on and see. Ultimately, I am working through some feature sets that I think maybe would benefit EVM ecosystem. And then maybe there is a path forward where we can provide better connectivity or better bridging. And if that is in fact something that we decide to do, then we would move forward with that project. And then on the cloud wallet side, obviously we launched the integration of the trust score. So that is now available through Wax.js. So we've partnered with chain champs who are actively, scanning the blockchain to have behavioral analytics in place, and they're doing a whole bunch of data science magic in the background to be able to detect certain behaviors and patterns, and then translate that into a trust score. So now that trust score is available to any dApp that integrates with Wax.js, and they can make then decisions to essentially alter their user experience if they want to based on that trust score. We are also working on a trust score 2.0 as well. And that's going to be based more on internal data science analytics that we have. And then I mentioned that we wanted to increase the connectivity of our ecosystem, and I'm happy to report that we are now officially connected to Polygon and ZK EVM Polygon chains. So that is now available in Cloud Wallet as well. I'm kind of jumping the gun here because we kind of released that silently without any announcements. I know that formal announcements are coming, and they're gonna go live probably early next week. But those features are live. So if you're curious and you want to start poking around, that's available. And then another one that's huge, and that's a big feature that I know everyone's been asking for a long time is an ability to actually claim ownership of your Cloud Wallet account and set your own owner and active keys. That is also now live. So these features again have not been announced formally, but they are live, and they are working. When it comes to the account claiming, there's essentially two modes to that. There's a soft claim and a hard claim. Soft claim is a feature that allows you to set your own active and owner keys, but you will still maintain and allow Cloud Wallet permissions to operate on that account, which kind of gives you this two of both worlds, right? So on one hand, you have full control over your account, over your owner active key, but then still you allow Cloud Wallet to operate on your behalf and sign transactions. So essentially, nothing really changes except for the fact that you have full control. And then the hard claim is essentially you claim your account and then you disconnect Cloud Wallet ecosystem from your account, which means that you cannot use Cloud Wallet benefits and features anymore, right? So now you have to fully transition to some other wallet like Anchor, for example. Quick note here, if you do end up doing a hard claim and fully disconnect from Cloud Wallet, and then if you see that losing those benefits is detrimental to your day-to-day sanity, then you can always come back and reconnect your old your hard claimed Cloud Wallet account back into Cloud Wallet system, and then that puts you in that soft claim state, which means that you have full control, but you give Cloud Wallet permissions to still do transaction signing and all that good stuff. So those were just kind of huge features that the team was working on in Q2, and those are now live. We've also done a lot of experimentation and research in terms of like social wallet features. It's kind of this umbrella of social features, allowing better discovery, connectivity, and we've sprinkled some of those into both Cloud Wallet and viral markets. So we do have a recommendation engine now in place that is based on behavioral analytics and data science, and we're going to be building on top of those, kind of foundational building blocks over the next, quarters, and we'll be adding more features, and you will see that discoverability and these kind of social features enhancing connectivity are going to be coming, right? Both by developing them by ourselves and then also by partnerships with other companies. And when it comes to Cloud Wallet and Q3, we are going to be doubling down on essentially enhancing the connectivity and interoperability of the wallet. So the team is working on implementing a OAuth connectivity. So integrators will be able to actually use formally OAuth. So you'll have kind of like integration light, which is Wax.js. For that, you can just implement and integrate Wax.js. It will not require any sort of information from the project. And then for OAuth, you will be able to sign up for OAuth integration, but you will have to dox your project, right? So you will have to tell us there's going to be a flow and wizard that we will need to know who you are, who the team is. And then if you do end up using OAuth integration, then you will get access to a little bit more information about the user. The user will have full control about, whether they want to grant integrating dApp access to their information. So user is still fully in the driver's seat when it comes to what gets shared with the third-party dApp. But like I said, if you're a third-party dApp and you want to go through an OAuth integration and get access to something like, let's say, user's email, right? Then we will need to know who you are, and we will have to approve that integration. And then also a big thing that's going to be in Q3 is, I call it like this wallet notification and messaging center. So this is going to be a very important feature, kind of again in this theme, under this theme umbrella of social features, allowing us to communicate better with Cloud Wallet users through that notification center. And then that is going to be becoming more and more important as we are also working on mobile Cloud Wallet application that's going to be available in iOS and Android phones. So this notification center will allow us to then, notify users about some informational stuff like, security notifications, things that, they may need to, respond to. These will be using push notifications or in-browser notifications. But what's more exciting is that this feature opens up some additional avenues in the future for third-party integrations, like through Unity SDK, which 2.0, which we're also actively working on, where today's Unity SDK embeds the wallet interaction within the actual user experience. The new SDK, through Notification Center, through Mobile Wallet, it will essentially offload all that stuff away from the device, which means that a user playing a game, they will be able to link the wallet and then interact with any sort of Web3 interactions requiring signing on their device, not within the game, right? So the game will be able to continue. It's going to be high fidelity user experience, and then we'll be able to then offload any sort of Web3 interactions to our mobile wallet and also mobile web wallet. So those are huge features geared towards usability, user experience, which I think game developers and also creators that build any sort of web integrations or mobile integrations will want in the future. And that's a huge project that the Cloud Wallet team is going to be focusing on. And then we have some interesting things going on Viral Market, but that is I'm just gonna tease that there's something cool coming, but I'm not gonna get into that just yet. So we'll see when we can actually announce these things. And I think that's a good recap for Q2 and what's coming in Q3.
Yeah, absolutely. You blew away a lot of the questions I was going to be asking there. So thank you so much. This was severely verbose and very informative. Thank you,
dude. You know how it is, man. You let me talk, I'm going to talk for hours, dude.
I know. I do still have I will have a couple points to clarify here. So let me dig into these other questions I do have for you now. So most of these are going to be forward, focused more on a little bit more on what's coming up, right? So sure. You mentioned the roadmap and the tokenomics rebalance. Yep. Rebalancing the tokenomics so that when we pay our guilds during lean times, full times, they're not we're not giving them away back.
Right.
So it's refactoring. When we do any tokenomics refactoring, will that affect the normal users? Would there be any kind of
changes? So I think it's a good time. Yeah, right. I think it's a good time to talk about, because we haven't really had a deeper dives into the tokenomics updates that we're making, and I think it's maybe good time to start having these conversations. So last year, I think we started looking at our core protocol tokenomics model, and one thing that we need to adjust is the fact that our inflation, right? We have inflation of 5% on chain. Our inflation essentially subsidizes the blockchain operations, and that is not a good thing, right? I think we all can agree that inflation, especially during times like these, is not necessarily a good thing, because it creates additional sell pressure. Not to mention that by subsidizing blockchain operations through inflation, we're essentially running a soup kitchen. So this is my internal term that I use all the time with the team, where yes, we are processing this mass amount of transactions. We are the most utilized blockchain in the world when it comes to number of transactions and the active wallets and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, and yes, the doing all that is very, very cheap for the users, right? It's almost free. But at the end of the day, we pay for all that through inflation, which is not a good thing. So the main thing that we are trying to achieve is essentially we're going to be moving into a variable inflation model, where cost of doing transactions and operations on chain are going to go up slightly. So it's going to be essentially more expensive when it comes to wax staking to do things. And we will also introduce an ability for people to pay per transaction if they want to, as opposed to staking wax in bulk, right? You will be able to essentially pay per transaction, which could work better for some users. But ultimately, the fees collected are gonna end up being used to offset inflation. And ultimately, the goal is to bring inflation down to zero, meaning that if we collect enough fees from chain operations, day-to-day chain operations, to essentially be able to pay block producers, standbys, and all that stuff, then the inflation is going to go to zero. Now, if we collect more than is necessary, then we're going to be in a deflationary mode, which means now we're going to be burning wax. So ultimately, the goal is to get our inflation to zero and bring the cost of operating chain in line with the transaction rate and how busy the chain is. And then ultimately maybe in the future start moving into the deflationary model. So that's kind of what's going on from the high level perspective. Those are huge core protocol changes that the team has been working on and collaborating with OIGs with. We are getting ready to actually start engaging our block producers and guilds to start putting that on a test net, and then start doing security audits and all that good stuff, to ultimately try to drive to release of this new model towards the end of Q3, beginning of Q4. So that's what's
That's
coming.
awesome. Yeah, perfect. I like when you mentioned the paper transaction being available for some of the users. I like when you are able to give options to folks if they want to pay to do something, they don't want to stake. I like having options, and that's something that's exciting for me. So I'm looking forward to some of these changes.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
All right, so sure.
And
So,
by the way,
next,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am working on a deeper write up of all this, and that's I am planning to publish much deeper dive in terms of how this works, how the algorithm works. There are going to be pretty graphs and examples and all that good stuff, and the code is going to be available for people who are technically savvy to also help us review it and all that stuff. But all that information is coming. So I am myself shifting gears from being very focused on these Q2 priorities to now really focus on tokenomics and this is gonna be one of the largest updates that we're gonna do to the core protocol, and it's gonna it's gonna be a fork from how Antelope chains operate in general, right? So this is a huge change because it fundamentally changes how the Antelope tokenomics model works on Wax, and it's just going to be very different.
Yeah, I think when you're making such a such a core change, it's important to take your time, test it out, get your guild involved, like you said, the security audits and stuff. I'm excited to see how it all comes to pass. I know that when we switched on the Antelope blockchain, coordinating with all the guilds, I don't recall there being very much downtime when we did that upgrade. So I'm excited and already kind of.
Right. I mean, we're planning for it. We're working with exchanges. We're working with all the partners. It took months, but we wanted to make sure that everyone upgrades without any problems. This is going to be something similar. And in fact, it was a great dress rehearsal for that because, this is going to be another hard fork change. So this particular upgrade will again require everyone to upgrade ahead of time and just kind of get ready. And in fact, we'll have to do that again once the Antelope 5.0 goes live, because instant finality feature also requires hard fork. So we have ahead of us, the next year. There's going to be a lot of very exciting new features, groundbreaking features when it comes to how Wax blockchain operates and also how Antelope ecosystem works. but they will require a lot of coordination and just kind of making sure that everything is tested and integrators are ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm excited and enheartened, I think, by the way it went the last time. It was a lot of moving pieces and it went fairly well. So as a dress rehearsal, I think it's pretty damn good.
For sure, man.
All right, and then so then my next question, like, there's been, this one's gonna be the last one I think I have Cloud Wallet. And you mentioned earlier making some updates regarding the paywall redesign. With the implementation of the trust scoring. You kind of hinted at a trust 2.0. Are there any other features coming to the wallet that will help reduce or eliminate the paywall? Because I know that for some, that can be a big barrier to sign up for Wax.
Yeah, so I think there's been a lot of changes on that side that we've also made in Q2 and Q1. Let me just kind of go down the list of some of these. The first one is, we separated the blockchain identity from the cloud wallet identity, right? So cloud wallet, the way it works now, you can use cloud wallet as a identity in its own right. And develop a Web2 application that uses Cloud Wallet and allow your users to essentially log in and establish session. So that's something that allows you to essentially build a high fidelity user experience without the Web3 component, right? So let's say, as an example, if I'm a game developer, I could, or content creator even, right? You can create full user experience that simulates, centralized experience, right? How things would work. And then that allows you to introduce and allows you to transition your users from Web 2 to Web 3, or Web 2.5, right? In an easy way. So it allows you to build these off ramps onto blockchain as you get your users more comfortable with your application, what they do, and then you can onboard them onto a blockchain much more easier. So that's already available, and that's available through this new user, the Wax smart contract on Wax blockchain. And then whether you take your user through the paywall and then they send the 5 wax themselves, or the DApp themselves can essentially say, hey, I'm gonna actually contribute and I'm gonna pay the account creation fees for my users as I'm converting them over. What we've done also, we've enhanced the new user, the Wax smart contract in a way. So if you are a DApp that wants to partner with us closer, and you want to reduce the amount of wax that is necessary to create these accounts, then we can definitely work with you. There's an option to configure and whitelist your project. And essentially that will allow you to create these user accounts at cost. So as opposed to paying 5 wax, you may have to pay 1 wax per account. But again, that requires tighter partnership with us, and we need to make sure that your whatever your DApp is, whatever the conversion process is, you work with us to make sure that does not become a some sort of a attack vector by bots, where we're going to all of a sudden have another infestation and your DApp is exploited to create millions of accounts unnecessarily. So those are the big changes that went live, and they're available, and I think I'm working with Jassy to make sure that we document all that stuff, and we have that available in our on our wax.io site, so it's these options are clear to people.
I am really excited when you mentioned being able to kind of whitelist with us and build or create or generate wallets at cost for our trusted dApps, for dApps that have done work in the ecosystem. That really excites me. I think that so much of we have so much great the community is unmatched here, and I'll say it every damn Twitter space I'm in, the community is unmatched, and so much great work comes from our community, and being able to separate the solid, strong core Wax community from those who might be here to flip, from those who might be here to just kind of maybe just dabble, and being able to offer them even more. I'm really excited for that, so I'm really looking forward to that, Lucas.
For sure. That's huge. And like I said, I think that interconnectivity is still very much the name of the game for us. We want to be a place where people can easily build highly scalable, highly available Web3 applications, but they also can gain access to other ecosystems like Ethereum, Binance, Polygon, and at the same time, we do focus on user experience as much as possible. At the end of the day, the name of the game, and we've talked about this before, is attracting mainstream consumers, and mainstream consumers are not going to put up with friction, right? Everyone is used to very, very easy flows on mobile devices, and ultimately that is why we're also working on the native mobile version of the cloud wallet, and then we're also working on these integration mechanisms, not only Wax.js but also OAuth, and then integration. We are working with Wax with Wallet Connect framework, so Wax blockchain will be available on Wallet Connect, and you will be able to use Wallet Connect to connect with Wax blockchain and cloud wallet, which also will allow easier integration for builders. So that's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'd like to remind everyone below, we'll be coming up on our AMA session in a moment. If you have questions for Lucas, please go ahead and start raising your hands now. I've got a couple more, and then we'll start calling on folks in the audience if you've got something to ask. All right, so that's it for Cloud Wallet. I'll stop hammering that nail. I know you said that there was just a kind of teaser earlier, but are there any UX, or this is for Viral Marketplace now, are there any user interface improvements that are being made that you are able to tease yet?
Yeah,
or anything you expect to enhance?
Right, so there's a whole bunch of usability features that are going to be coming online in the next couple of weeks, I think. Mainly just quality of life type of stuff, in preparation also for any sort of native mobile application that is going to be in the works in the future. So then we have a better parity between the mobile web version versus the actual native version. I don't know how many of you guys are paying attention to the native mobile space and intersection with blockchain. I think that these app stores and the rules are getting a little bit more relaxed as this space is I guess more mature, and people are getting more educated, and we're getting a little bit more regulatory clarity. So I would imagine that the native mobile adoption is just going to be increasing more and more. So definitely quality of life features, but also there's this umbrella of features that I mentioned before, which is this social wallet and social marketplace, which includes recommendation engine and connectivity, messaging, chat, discovery of users and being able to connect with them, and then also allowing content creators and dApp developers to connect with their users, right? So one big avenue that this messaging center that I talked about in the Cloud Wallet that opens for us is that in the future, imagine if you're a content creator and you did a drop and you have a whole bunch of users that purchase your NFTs. We may allow you to actually message and interact with the user base through Cloud Wallet Messaging Center, right? You will be able to specifically target those users and let them know that something is coming so those are very, very powerful features. And then users that own similar collections, they could be, they may be able to discover each other and interact with each other. So I'm gonna tease some of those features and partnerships that we're working on to make the discoverability and community development and community management easier for content creators and dApps. So that's gonna be coming.
That's really exciting. I know that I kind of want to take a moment and kind of talk about something that we've been kind of doing on the community side as well. Because my next topic is going to be a little bit about community involvement. One thing that our community has done in Q2 was we engaged our active Wax Hub ambassador community. We reached out to them for feedback on upcoming enhancements to the wallet and projects. Some of those are live right now, pin testing. Some of them are going to start testing shortly. So we rely on feedback to improve and ensure we're delivering a great experience. So if anyone's listening below, they haven't checked out Wax Hub yet, and you want to take some part in some of the behind the scenes testing, please go ahead and join the Wax Hub today. You can do that at ambassador.wax.io. And I'll post a link after the call. And then additionally, we've also worked with multiple projects in the recent months to help get the word out in the form of our community blogs, and these are all published on the Wax Medium channel. For anyone who's interested in doing a release or wants more information, I really can't stress enough, go check out the community page at wax.io/community. If you're not looking at it, you're missing out on a lot of the tools that are shared there that are useful for your drop, from you've got Honeycomb, Bounty Block, PFP collection stuff, and other marketing features as well. And that can help for your any drop, sale, or upcoming game as well. So I just wanted to put that out there for the community. Lucas, have you seen anything else interesting from the community or anything you'd like to add to what I just mentioned?
Well, I think I'm just amazed at the fact that so many people continue building. And then, we've seen last quarter this pretty interesting development with PFPs just kind of sprouting all over the place. It's almost like in the middle of bear market, there's all of a sudden this excitement of pretty fun drops and projects happening, and I think it's super awesome. I'm glad to see that people are having fun with it, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's great to see.
Perfect, Lucas. That's pretty much all the questions that I wanted to cover today. I know I've been bending your ear already for quite some time. Let me remind everyone below, if you have a question, this is the time we'd like to invite you listening up to raise your hand. Come to the stage. You can ask Lucas a question about development or a roadmap. So far today, we've heard a lot from Lucas about what's coming up next, kind of where we were, and what new changes are going to be coming. So if you would like to care to comment or ask more information about something that stuck out to you, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll bring you up to the stage. While we're waiting for folks to go ahead and raise their hands, let me ask you, what is your long-term vision for Web3 adoption? How do you see the Wax blockchain kind of contributing to the mass adoption of future blockchain applications?
Right. Well, I think that Web3 should not feel like Web3 feels today. That's the bottom line. I think that Web3 brings a very important component into the space, like true asset ownership, and ability to for essentially dApps to exist in this open ecosystem where people can exchange not only tokens but NFTs and you can have projects built on top of existing assets that may not even thought about particular applications. So that's kind of the holy grail, this open ecosystem and true ownership. Having said that, I think there's just a lot of different ecosystems that developed, and I think we will see interconnectivity and consolidation of those over the next couple of years. And I'm sure there's going to be some ecosystems that specialize in one thing versus another. But ultimately, I think where the whole space is moving towards is essentially native mobile applications and reduction of friction. So when you look at Wax blockchain and everything that we're doing when it comes to the interconnectivity and then user experience when it comes to the native mobile applications and SDKs and kind of making sure that Web3 feels like Web2 to people. If we can achieve that, if Web3 application with blockchain usage feels like Web2 application, then we're gonna get mass adoption, right? You're gonna have high quality applications, high quality games that are fun to interact with. They have high fidelity user experience, and at the same time, you're gonna get the benefit of Web3 behind the scenes. So that's kind of where we're going, and I think when it comes to Wax blockchain, we're definitely pushing forward and leaning on some of these principles. I mean, I can tell you that on the protocol level, a lot of the stuff that we're working on the protocol level are going to be gearing towards that. Like instant finality, being able to have full finality within a couple of seconds is huge. People, when you interact with a mobile application, you expect things to happen instantaneously, right? If something loads longer than a couple of seconds, people lose interest and they exit, right? Today, unfortunately, because the full finality takes much longer, it's hard to build applications because you need to account for reversibility, you need to account for all these different use cases, or you just have to wait, right? I mean, perfect example is like, if you're interacting with an exchange and doing a crypto transaction, you cannot do anything until something is fully confirmed. And depending on the blockchain, you may have to wait, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour before you can do anything. I mean, that's a terrible user experience. So Wax will definitely be fixing that with instant finality and a whole bunch of other enhancements on the protocol level. But then all the surrounding tools that we're building, we are going to be pushing towards native mobile applications to make it a little bit easier.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to see that, especially going for that holy grail of not noticing anything about. You don't notice Web3. It's just like Web2. Yep. I'm really excited for that. Danish, I saw you come up, but I don't know if Twitter kicked you out. If you're still there and you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand again so I can bring you back up. Oh, there we go. Danish, go ahead. They're perfect. Thank you. Danish, go ahead. Thank you for coming on up, and go ahead and ask your question, Lucas. Thank you.
What's up, Danish?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One of them is regarding the talk about implementing fees on Wax. Why, if that is going to happen, why in the first place, and what do you think then will put Wax in the light as it does right now? Because without fees and so all that, the speed and stuff, we have so much more to offer. In my mind, when introducing fees, we suddenly take a lot of what we actually have as the main benefit away. So that's my first question. Let's start there.
Sure. So I think, I mean, wax already has fees, right? You have to stake wax in order to do anything. So you may not call them gas fees, but wax is not necessarily free. You have to stake wax for resources. So that's not going to change. What may change is essentially um, we will be introducing an ability for you to do either or. So you can either stake wax, or you can essentially pay per transaction if you want. Now, when it comes to how the staking model works, um, the way we're going to be adjusting things is that today, let's say you stake 100 wax and it's going to get you x amount of operations on chain. That may change slightly, right? So as opposed to getting 10, you may be getting 8 or 6, right? So we'll have to see, and we'll play with that model. But ultimately, it's a balance between a so-called in quote free transaction model and the inflation. So you have these two battling forces, right? You've got, on one hand, you have thousands and thousands of transactions that we have, but they are essentially heavily subsidized by Wax blockchain printing money every day, which then puts additional sell pressure on Wax, which then drives the price down. So we need to essentially put our ecosystem in balance, right? We want to make sure that chain operations are essentially being taken care of and paid for by the users, and there is a balance that we need to strike.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Kind of like EOS has been doing with, like, you could pay some transaction was free, or you could pay a little bit of EOS to
Exactly.
continue.
So it's going to be something
Okay,
similar.
in
And
that
again,
case, it makes sense, because I was definitely afraid that you guys was considering the proof of stake model as a revenue system, but making a fee system on transactions anyways, which then, even though you get rewarded for staking, if you're voting actively and so on, you would still pay fees for actually using the network, which means that games and smart contracts and other things would have a really, or a way harder time that have been designed to already. That was my main concern.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to be backward compatible. So number one, we're going to be adding more options to the model, right? And then the big piece is there that we want to make sure that we start implementing this variable inflation model. So that is actually tied to the economic activity, the actual activity on chain, which I think is important going forward.
All right, and then Danish, I know we're coming up on time. I know you have another question. Will you ask your follow-up, and then we'll go ahead and close it down for today's Wax Wednesday?
Yeah, definitely. My second question is more for the cloud wallet than for Wax itself. Mm-hmm. Even though that it's kind of ish-ish. But why would a cloud wallet even consider making a native mobile app or extension or otherwise? It kind of takes the main thing away from a cloud-based service to be needing to install, download, or add something to be able to use it. Then it goes over to the non-custodial aspect normally. So why? I see a lot of other things that could be more beneficial for Wax to use their money, time, and effort on.
Well, I think that the mobile user experience is where it's at. I mean, you have much better when you're using a mobile application, when you're using your phone. That's where the convenience is, right? And running things in the browser on the mobile device, it's just horrible. Not to mention that a lot of features just simply don't work because of all the security model that these browsers have on mobile devices. So ultimately, where I see Cloud Wallet progressing is that you know, if I'm playing a console game that is Web3 enabled, and you know, there are some interactions that need to happen within the game that require my approval signing. You know, I want to be able to, you know, get a push notification and very quickly click on that and sign a transaction with one click, and I'm done. Right? That's kind of the user experience, high fidelity, I think, that we need in this space. Ultimately, you know, wallets are the biggest barrier to adoption today, and I think Cloud Wallet. I would like Cloud Wallet to innovate in that space and just kind of implement something that is much better. That's why. When it comes to the you know, the custodial, not custodial aspect, you know, with the account claiming that is now live, you know, it's up to you how you want to use Cloud Wallet. I mean, you can use it in this soft claim mode, where, you know, you manage your own keys, however you manage your own keys, and still use Cloud Wallet services in the cloud, right? So we can still do transaction signing for you because we essentially have permissions attached to your account. Or you can say, you know what, screw it. I just wanna fully control everything and use a third-party wallet and just disconnect completely from the ecosystem. So you know, we're just giving you more options. So
on that, when did that got pushed live? Because that the first time it got pushed live, it got pulled back again. So the Cloud Wallet account / claim or something like that, but didn't work. Had that just become live again?
yeah,
the release. Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, so I think that the first release was a foobar, and it was a mistake that should have never been made public. That's been in beta for a while, because we needed to do audits, we needed to do all the testing, and then that feature was made live this week. There's going to be a formal announcement made regarding the Polygon bridge that is also live, and ZK EVM Polygon that's also live early next week. But I'm just teasing these features that they are live as of this week.
Thank you, Lucas. Danish, thanks for coming up and asking your questions. I appreciate your insights. All right, everybody, this is going to be our time for today. We'll be closing down. I want to thank all of our listeners, those live below, as well as those who are going to be tuning in later to catch the recap. Today's space, as always.
Tommy, before you close it down, do you mind going, like, I know we've covered a lot of topics, and maybe I've been rambling too much and I've taken a lot of time. Do you mind taking maybe another 10 minutes to 3:15 or like 15 after the hour to answer some more questions? Yeah, because I do have time between my next meeting.
All right, so if you have any other questions concerning the roadmap, you can come up and ask. Danish, did you have another one while you're already up here?
I have one that is more of a concern question. How do Cloud Wallet expect their user numbers to look when this features become live? Because when talking to Wombat and stuff like that, their user numbers, because they have this function, is not as easily trackable, because as soon as you open up, you're basically an anchor wallet. So there is that. How do Cloud Wallet see the future numbers of their user base grow or sustain?
Yeah, I mean, I am not honestly worrying too much about growth, because at the end of the day, Cloud Wallet seems to be the only solution right now that offers the you know, the usability that is necessary for people to actually use that wallet, right? Like, I mean, if you want to use Anchor fine, you're gonna use Anchor. But if you want to actually interact with the Web3 application through Anchor, this is gonna be very, very tiresome very quickly. Um, so that's my answer. I think also by releasing a mobile version and then making sure that the mobile version integrates with SDKs like Unity SDKs, support with Wallet Connect, that's going to also drive adoption. And listen, I think there's going to be some users that say, hey, I'm going to have a cloud wallet that I just want to manage through, some sort of a hardware wallet because maybe I use that account to create my NFT collection and I want to have full control over that. And that's fine. I think, they should disconnect and then manage their account in some other means. But at the end of the day, I think users want ease of use and less friction, and you're not gonna get that through Anchor, for example, right? So we'll see how the balance is going to shake out at the end of the day, but I think we are working on some pretty interesting features. Like I mentioned, mobile integration. We're going to have messaging center, allowing then Cloud Wallet to become kind of like this hub for communication and discoverability. So we'll see, how that develops. So we'll see this quarter where we are when it comes to the signups and how many users actually disconnect. I would imagine that the marketplace and consumers of the cloud wallet will give us that answer. And once we have that data, then we'll just adapt the roadmap if we need to.
Great, thanks, Danish. Blockchain Cards, welcome to the stage. Thanks for coming on up. Will you please go ahead and ask your question? Thanks.
Yeah, could you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Oh, great. So yes, thank you for taking my request. Since I was just wondering, since Tops left, I feel like that was like a major blow to the blockchain in terms of like a real established company. My question is there any ongoing marketing campaigns to bring on any larger kind of collectible corporations or something into the blockchain? That's my question. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
No worries. Yeah, listen, I think we're constantly having conversations with various different brands. I think that ultimately what ended up happening in the NFT space in 2021 was that brands were being expected to be paid massive amount of money to launch on a particular platform, which we're not gonna do, right? We're not gonna pay massive amount of money to brand to develop NFTs. I think that people continue building on Wax blockchain, and it is a very active ecosystem. But I don't think we're gonna change anything when it comes to writing $10 million checks to companies to come here and launch their NFTs. Ultimately, I think a brand needs to have a business use case that is sustainable, and I've talked about it before. A brand needs to have a sustainable business use case that needs a Web3 component in order to survive. There are some brands that are successful in doing that, and most brands are not. Tops is a great example, right? They left our ecosystem thinking that they're gonna get a whole bunch of money from some other competitors and launched the marketplace that ultimately resulted in massive failure. So we don't need to look too far for those examples, and there are other brands out there that also experience the same fate. I'm not sure if I answer your question, but do we have conversations? Yes. Are we gonna pay massive amount of money to attract brands and build on Wax? I don't think that's gonna happen. Our focus is on building the tech and forming organic partnerships that make sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. You don't want to build the foundation before you bring in, the clients and everything. I
Yeah,
understand that. So thank you guys. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
no problem.
Alrighty. I have one question, Lucas, if you can kind of specify something from earlier
Sure.
regarding wallet claiming. You mentioned that if we claim a hard claim wallet, we no longer get the features of the Wax Cloud wallet anymore. What features of Wax Cloud wallet do we lose by making the hard claim? What will we give up?
Yeah, so the main one is signing and auto signing transactions, right? So today you're able to essentially so that's the one of the when it comes to identity, right? So being able to use your social identity or username password to kind of log in. So that's number one. And then number two, you will not be able to use Cloud Wallet to sign and auto sign transactions. So, let's say, I don't know, blockchain brawlers for example, right? Let's say you're interacting, you're using Cloud Wallet to do a whole bunch of stuff, and you've got auto signing on. So let's say your user experience is very Web 2 like, right? You don't get signing pop-ups, you don't get anything, all that stuff. It just happens behind the scenes, right? If you disconnect your account from Cloud Wallet, you will not be able to do that. You will not be able to use Cloud Wallet to interact with any sort of dApps that you used to be able to. You will have to then, let's say you use Anchor, you will have to then log in with Anchor using your account and the keys that you manage, and then you will have to use Anchor to interact with that application.
Perfect. Thank you. That clears up for me, and for anyone else listening below who didn't want to come up and ask.
Yeah, good question. All right, maybe last question, and then we'll finish.
Danish, do you have another question that you wanted to bring up? Since I have you up here, I don't have to see anybody else raised at the moment.
Yeah, sure. What is the vision that Wax see for the Wax blockchain coming for the next 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I can't go into more details, but we are having some very serious conversations about infrastructure providers, about the Wax blockchain technology and Antelope technology. Ultimately, I think that Wax blockchain can be used as a blockchain of choice for applications that require, high throughput, very high scaling, and really, I want Wax blockchain stack along with all the tools and mobile applications and mobile SDKs and integrations to be available for developers, right? Ultimately, if I were to fast forward, let's say 2-3 years from now, I want, if I'm a developer and I want to experiment with different blockchains, I want to be able to spin up my Wax blockchain environment and start building my application within 2-3 clicks, right? And then be able to connect with Wax blockchain enabled networks that are available out there. And we are having conversations with people from various different industries. I think gaming is the probably the loudest voice in the room, followed by the content creators. But ultimately, I think the blockchain technology offers some some very good use cases for not only those verticals. There are also other applications in supply chain and real estate and custodial services. You know, I would like the conversation to shift a little bit more where the Web3 component is actually used in other verticals, in other businesses, for the purpose of transparency and you know, having an open ecosystem in place that is applied towards these other industries. And I think that is going to happen over time. And ultimately, I want Wax blockchain stack and our technology to be ready and available for that. I would imagine we're going to start seeing some of that in the next bull run and beyond that. So that's the goal.
All right, guys, that's our time. That's all the time I've got today. I know we need to shut it down. I want to thank everyone who's listening. Thank everyone who's listening below today, or if you're listening later in the evening. Thank you to Danish. Thank you to Blockchain Cards for coming up and asking your questions. This was a lot of fun, Lucas. I always enjoy having these talks, and I'm planning to invite you back again around the end of Q3 so we can do this again. Is that all right?
Oh, for sure. Thanks a lot, guys. This was awesome.
All right, everybody in Wax family, I hope you all have a great evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on what part of the world you're tuning in from. Happy Wax Wednesday, and I'll see you next week with an NFTopia Palooza on the 26th.
Super.
Take care of yourself. Stay out of the heat. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.